Hello and welcome back to our next English lesson, and today we're going to be thinking about starting to plan our own non-chronological report. Now we're actually going to spread this out over the beginning of this week, so we're ready to write by the end of it, and thinking about where we can find information from and how we're going to set out our plan. Before we do that, we're going to think about some word classes. So what is a word class? A word class are all the words in the English language can be split normally into different parts of what they do within a sentence. And the main word classes in English are noun, verb, adjective, adverb, pronoun, conjunction, determiner, and preposition. So we're going to have a quick look at these different parts today, and just look at what the definition is and look at them in a sentence. Because what we need to know what all of these are, and we need to be able to identify them in a sentence, so that we can either change them or we can adjust them or improve them to make them better. So today we're just going to look at the meanings of the words and an example of them, and then over the course of the week we're going to have a look at a few more detail. So the first two we've got are nouns and adjectives. Now, a noun is a word that identifies a person, a place, a thing, an idea, or a quality. And we talked about this before. So abstract nouns talk about the ideas or qualities, whereas proper nouns are people or places, or you can have things which are common nouns. And examples of this are woman, dog, building, London, truth, and birth. Now, in our sentence, although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. There are three nouns. We have the boy, who is a person. It's not a proper noun because it's not the name of him, but it is a common noun, boy. Bedroom, as it is a place, and book, as it is a thing. All of these are common nouns. They're not the name of a particular place or a particular person. Therefore, they don't need capital letters. The next one we've got is an adjective. And these are the ones that you've been told, oh, put all of them in order to do them. And sometimes we just have to tone it down a little bit. But that's a word that describes a noun. So it adds detail to the noun, gives more idea of what the particularness of that noun. So we could use words such as red, bad, giant, hairy, or shy. In our sentence, although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. The word young in this case describes the boy. He isn't just a boy. We know more about him. We know he's a young boy. The word young is the adjective. Our next two are verbs and adverbs. And these are similar in tone in relation to nouns and adjectives, but slightly different. So a verb is a word that describes what a person or thing is doing or has done or is going to do. This is words like run or ran, hit, rain, be, seem, become, and grow. And some of these are quite interesting because you wouldn't necessarily think of them as verbs, like something seems like something else. Well, seem in that case is because we're comparing the two and it looks like they look like each other, or become. The tree became green. The tree is becoming green. It is changing, so it's doing something, and that's the word become. So in our sentence, although he was tired, past tense, remember, and this is actually a continuous tense, because he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. Ran, tired, and to read. These are all the verbs, all the things that he is doing or has done in this sentence. This is all past tense. The adverb in this case is a word that gives more information about the verb or the action that is happening within the sentence. It can give more information about a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. And adverbs are really spread wide on what they are and what they can be used. Some do end in ly, and sometimes you're limited in your understanding that you think all adverbs end in ly, but that's not true. We know that because we use lots of different ones there are. So we have lazily or easily, abroad or very. gives kind of an idea of how much. So it very normally is linked to another adverb. We might have an adjective that it's linked to, or a verb that's linked to. Quite often it's a verb. It just gives more information to the sentence, normally the doing part or the thing that happens in the sentence. So although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. Quickly tells us how he ran. Then we have prepositions and conjunctions. Prepositions are words that describe the position of something, or the time it happened, or the way it's been done, such as under, between, on, after, or by. And these are all prepositions, and we can use prepositional phrases as adverbial phrases to tell us when something happened or the way it's happened. And that's what a preposition is. And in our sentence, although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. He is running into the bedroom, and into tells us that that's where he's going and that's where he's going to be. Conjunction, on the other hand, is a word that connects phrases or sentences together, and it links them together. So these are things classically such as and, because, or but, for, if, or. And there are lots and lots of conjunctions that can be used between sentences, or they can be used within a sentence to link two phrases. So although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. The although in this case is actually linking the fact that he is tired, and it's saying that although he was tired, so even though he was tired, he was still able to run quickly into his room to read his book. So it's actually linking the phrase he was tired and how that phrase affects the sentence. And this is an important thing to note about conjunctions, is that the choice of conjunction you have can affect massively the tone of the sentence. So you could say, so in this case, although he was tired, makes sense because he's running quickly, even though he is tired. Whereas if you changed it and the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book and he was tired, it would be a very different sentence. So you have to think about that. And then our last two, pronoun and determiner. Our pronoun is a word that is used in the place of a noun that is a specific person or thing. So the words, the kind of things that you might use are she, him, mine, we, I, us, me, herself, and it. So in this case, what you're changing, you're taking a noun out and you're putting a pronoun in. And this is so that we don't necessarily overuse words and we don't tend to have to repeat ourselves massively within a sentence. So although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. In both cases, he and his are referring to the boy. So you could replace them. Although the boy was tired, the young boy ran quickly into the young boy's room to read his book. It becomes much more long-winded and much more repetitive than if we use the pronouns rather than the boy. Then we've got determiners, and these are words that introduces a noun. So it normally comes before a noun and tells us whether it is a specific person or a general thing. So these are such as an or a, every, this, those, and the. So although he was tired, the young boy, so the one particular one we're talking about, ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. We don't know what book he's reading because he might have multiple, but it is a book, not the book, which would imply there was a specific book, a very important book that he was reading. So in our sentence, although he was tired, the young boy ran quickly into his bedroom to read a book. You can see that actually all of those words come into one of these classes, word classes, and you can see how they're all used in this one sentence. And that's just thinking about where they might be used and how they might be used. And if someone was to give you a sentence and say, oh, where are the nouns in a sentence? You should be able to look through it and see which words they are. Or can you find the determiner in this sentence? And you should be able to, again, look through and find the determiners normally the or a or an. So your task for today, you are going to plan your first two information paragraphs. And what you need to think about is what you're going to talk about. So what's the overarching idea of your non-chronological report? What the subheading might be for that particular information paragraph. What are the key facts you're going to tell the reader within that paragraph? And how could you link those together using a topic sentence? You will need to do some research. Either you can look at our videos that we've put online on the Vikings and use some of that to help you. And there'll be another one on coming up today. And then, or you can go online or in a book and find interesting information about Vikings. Remember, this is a plan. So anything you put down on here only needs to be in note form. It doesn't need to be fully written. It's just the ideas that you're then going to use to write it later in the week. So this would be our plan. This is the way we'd set up. Now this box up would work for any non-chronological report you're going to write. But if we think about our model text, actually the facts box and final paragraph wouldn't be used because we had enough information otherwise. And probably given the fact that we're going to do a historical non-chronological report, you probably won't have a final paragraph, but you could have everything else. And you can see what you're going to do today is you're going to focus on these two boxes, the first two information paragraphs. Don't worry about anything else yet. And what I'll do is I'll put this onto our Teams group so that you can download it and print it off if you want to. So you're going to use these two boxes first off. You're going to think about what the subheading is going to be, which tells the reader what that paragraph is going to talk about. You're going to think about what the topic sentence might be. Now, before you do that, I would think about what the facts are going to be that goes into that part. What are the actual detailed information that you're going to have in that paragraph? Then go back and think about what am I saying in this paragraph, and how am I going to write that in one sentence to let the reader know what's going to be it, because that's going to be your topic sentence. Now, before you go away and do this, there are a few different ways you can go about doing this. You can make, and it's probably the easier one to do, a generic Viking non-chronological report. And you can have each of your paragraphs as different parts completely about the Vikings. You could have one about their weapons and how they fought, one about their jewelry and what they wore. You could have one about their long ships and one about where they came from. And you can quite easily fit 4 different paragraphs into it and make them relatively generic, which means that they're not hugely specific on a particular part. Or it is harder, but you could do much like the model text was written about a very specific part of Viking life. So for example, you could write a non-chronological report entirely about the longships. So your title would be Viking longships. And then your paragraphs would be about different aspects. One about how they were made, one about how they were used to raid, one about the navigation of how they would cross the seas, and the third and last paragraph about who owned them and what they might have been used for. So you can see there are lots of different ways you can go about doing this. And I'm leaving this up to you. If you think you might struggle, do a generic one. If you want to try and delve deep into one part of Viking life, then please do. You just need to find the way in which to split the information up. So you could do Viking weapons, for example, and talk different paragraphs about different weapons, but you'd have to go into a lot of detail about why that weapon was important. Hint, today's history lesson might be about that. So, briefly, you'll have this, and I'll put it on the Teams chat as a link. You can download it and print it off, and then just have a go today at doing paragraph 1 and 2 in note form, not full sentences. And then over the course of the next 2 days after today, you'll do paragraphs 3 and 4, and then your title, introduction, pictures and fact boxes, and maybe a final paragraph. The reason why we don't write the introduction first is that we don't necessarily know what's going to be on our information paragraphs. So actually, it's easier to write that after we know what's in our paragraphs because it has to link into. Try your best. I can't wait to see some of the outcomes you come up with. You don't have to post this on Tapestry today. I want to wait until I can see the full plan on Wednesday for me. Good luck. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.